from a team that people have written off lately and a player that people have completely written off. And I think his ownership is shockingly low considering how many goals he scored last season, right? But Jamie Vardy with the hat-trick. Yes, 2 penalties and 1 really nice finish, but a hat-trick at the Etihad. Not many players that are doing that, right? 9 goals now against City in recent times, and Leicester were the first team to score 5 goals against any Guardiola side in senior competition as well. So that's a record for Leicester.
So, yeah, I mean, that man, I'll tell you what though, that Vardy first penalty, what a hit. That was
classic.
Brilliant.
Class.
Oh, wow, that was really good. I was impressed.
Both of them, right? So he's up there with Klopp of the week. Well done, Jamie. The flop for the week is going to have to be, and I don't think it's the referee's fault. I don't think it's VAR's fault. It's the handball rule, right? It's just, we've touched on it. Everyone's touched on it. It's an absolute shocker, right? It's the referees going to VAR and looking at it, but it's the fact that they actually changed the rules, right? That's the guidance they've been given. It's not that, okay, VAR is now causing it. It's just a stupid rule, right?
It is. It's obviously ruined Spurs' 3 points as well, which was very upsetting. Just ridiculous.
But that's it. The flop of the week has to go to the handball rule. So the AIFB, whoever it was that decided that, they're our official.
They're the biggest flops of the season. That is the first half. I'm going to go and sit on my bed and try not to speak for the next 15 minutes and practice letting other people talk. I've been accused of being the man from the Fast Show many times, so I'll give that my best shot. Might even watch the Man United 99 rerun when we won the treble, NVD.
Pointless viewing, mate. Honestly, I think you're wearing out that VHS.
Gets better every week. We'll see you in the second half, listeners.
Well, hey!
Welcome to part 2 of Left Back FPL.
Whoa!
Part 2?
Part 2?
If you are here, you've successfully negated the first half and negotiated your way through, and you put yourself into some more punishment. You're back. You're back to hear us. It is, of course, your favourite pundits and Jimmy Ferguson here. I've got NVD, Captain Russ, and Sean the John McGinn fanboy, as you heard in the first half. NVD, I just watched that 99 final. It was 2-1 again. Blinding goal from Solskjaer. Blinding goal.
I don't remember that event in history, to be honest, mate.
In our precious we trust. You know, Dolly.
Oh, you got to love him at the wheel.
So, boys, we've got a Rambolino, rambling from the dugout. Question coming in, and it's actually someone we know, someone we've spoken to before. It's going to be Una Maddison. Your favourite NVD. She liked you last time.
Lovely. Her son finally shows up, and so does she.
She's got a great voice. She's a lovely mum.
Well, I think that's why she's on, because her son, James Maddison, so Una, for the fans, is James Maddison's mum. So she rang in last season. So I think, you know, the fact he's scored, Sean, as you said, is the reason that she's going to be ringing in. So be nice, gents. I think that's her.
Hiya.
A friendly voice.
All right, Jimmy Ferg. You remember your biggest fan, Una?
I can never forget you, my dear. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you boys doing? You all look lovely. I love coming on the show. Thank you for having me again.
Have you been listening every week? Have you got the podcast on your phone?
Of course. Every time I go round to James's, I'm like, you've got to listen to the podcast. He loves it as well.
We appreciate the drummers up, the support drumming us up.
Anytime.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you, Una. And you must be absolutely thrilled. James was back in yesterday. He didn't have his hairband in, but he scored a blinder.
He scored a lovely goal. But this Jamie Vardy, he's just so greedy. Honestly, my old James, he should let James take a penalty, and that's what my question is today.
What? Why is Jamie Vardy so greedy with the double?
It's about penalties. Don't be silly, Jimmy.
I'm sorry, Una, but it is greedy. He is greedy. he should share the penalties and let James have one. I agree. So, Una, what is your question for us, dear?
Well, like I said, with all these penalties, we've seen this farcical new handball rule, and it just seems like the referees are just giving away penalties left, right and centre. So with that in mind, when I'm choosing my fantasy team, because I really want to beat James this season, not you, but my son James, and you as well, because I heard you're rubbish.
Literally beat them.
But when I'm choosing now my midfield and my attacking players, should I be looking at who the set piece takers are? Because, you're going to get guaranteed potential goals from penalties. We've already seen it with that greedy Vardy, as I like to call him. So what do you think, boys? Let me know.
It's a great question. It's a wonderful question,
awesome question.
Captain, I think when she said she wants to beat you as well because you're rubbish, I think she was speaking about you, mate.
I did notice that Vardy that was he went off, didn't he? And then there was Tillerman got given a penalty, and he looked like he was about to cry. He was so desperate to be on the pitch to take that penalty.
Look happy, did he? Greedy Vardy. But so guys, I think, let's get into a question and unpack it a little. Sean, what do you think?
I think obviously there's been a lot of players who have benefited from taking penalties recently, right? Especially this weekend. I've benefited from a few myself, definitely Fernandes as captain, he benefited up there. Obviously if you had Jamie Vardy in your team, you're going to do very well this week. But whether that's enough to make you pick a team, and I saw someone online and they said, maybe you actually just pick a team of penalty takers. For me, it's a consideration and it's always a benefit, but there's a lot of risk involved, right? You take a penalty and they go on to miss it. There's also the inverse chance, right? You actually also lose points, which quite rightly, I think you should, and that's something they've got right. So for me, I think that it's worth knowing who all the penalty takers are.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to bet on them, right? First of all, they have to get awarded a penalty, then they actually have to be on the pitch at that time, and then they have to score it as well, right? So, for example, DCL is not their penalty taker, right? It's Richarlison, so yes, and Richarlison got all the bonus points for that as well, for just scoring a penalty, really, and the assist. So it's difficult to a game to play, though.
So then is Richarlison a better choice than DCL?
I think DCL gets more outfield goals. I think he gets more points overall. So he's more of a penalty box striker, right? He's on the 6-yard line all the time, DCL, when he's in there. And even with these increased penalties, is there really that many more?
Well, they both got 13 last season, DCL and Richarlison. But there has been more penalties. There's been, 18 in 24 games, which is unheard of from last season. So it has been a lot more. But is it not an algorithm question of just saying, right, who scores the most penalties for their team? Which team gets the most penalties? And then just, there you go. Is that not your answer?
Well, Man United get the most, right?
And Fernandes is probably the guy to have for that.
Yeah. It doesn't always work out because if you've got someone like Chelsea, right? They might, let's say, for example, if they get a lot of penalties, like Sean, John, and Fanboy was saying, their main penalty taker, Jorginho, isn't always on the pitch. Who knows if he's going to be at the club any time longer? But then it's like, then it could be anybody's game, right? You don't even know who's going to be the penalty taker.
So going for someone like Jorginho is a risky one. I mean, he missed the penalty last week, and he's risky.
Exactly.
He always play.
It's the same with Liverpool, right? You've got boring James Milner.
Yeah, and Milner came on again today, right? So, I mean, I had a little bit of a altercation with one of our Twitter fans about Salah or Mane, and he's religiously saying Salah because Salah takes penalties. Well, firstly, if Milner's on the pitch, Salah doesn't take penalties.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And secondly, look at today. Mane scored, Salah didn't. And last week, Mane scored, Salah. So you can't base it all on penalties. But I presume if you do that algorithm I mentioned, that could work in your favour. Jamie Vardy, for example, he has had 6 shots this season and he scored 5 goals and 4 of those shots were penalties. So like Jamie Vardy, for example, although, Una, he is greedy and he needs to share those WKDs, both iron brew and berry flavour, he's surely the one to have, is he not? I mean, NVD, do you not think if you're going to base it around penalty takers, he would be one that you'd say yes?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If you absolutely, had to kind of fill your forward line, then 100%. Not only, Is his score ratio against penalties taken great, but obviously he's an out-and-out goal scorer as well. So I think you get the best of both worlds with someone like a Vardy. So yeah, I think kind of longer term in the season, I think definitely FPL managers are going to look at that and probably let his form slide even just a little bit.
And penalties should always have been part of your consideration anyway when you were picking your team. Like, I think you'd always consider penalties anyway. I mean, I always consider it, but it doesn't change it that much. I guess it's a...
Unless you're a Man United fan.
Well, if you're a Man United fan, as I am, you should have Fernandes, and I don't have him. I guess what I'm trying to say, though, is you should be picking your team based on that anyway. That should be one of the factors you consider. But to choose your whole team based on the penalty takers, are you going to be doing that? Yes or no?
Sure.
No. I think it's a resounding no. That's too risky.
No. So a resounding no, unless it's the premium player, which is probably Vardy, who always takes them and scores. Danny Wings, you're going to choose him anyway. The strikers are the key ones, but it's also risky, isn't it, if they do miss, like you boys have said. So does that help, Una?
Yeah, it helps a lot. I'm definitely definitely not playing my wild card this week then and changing all to penalty takers. So thank you very much. Your advice, guys, is awesome as always.
While you're here, Una, it would be really nice to get some inside gossip about your son. Have you got anything you'd like to share with the fans about something that we don't already know about Maddison?
He's got 3 nipples.
Where's the third one?
Don't tell anyone.
Awesome. I did notice when he scored, there was 3 little things that popped up. I was wondering what that was.
It's what helps him score a good goal.
Got excited.
The third nipple. That's so nice of you to share that. I'm sure he's going to love the fact you shared that live on the Left Back FPL. Una, lovely speaking to you.
You too, boys.
Good luck for the rest of the season.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, gents. I didn't expect to hear that about Maddison, eh? Who would have known? 3 nipple Maddison. You got 3 nipples, haven't you, Captain?
No.
What was that thing on your nuts? The wart, maybe, mate.
Oh dear. Barnacles.
Let's move on. Let's get it a bit X-rated. It's a bit early in the day. The next topic then, guys, that we'll be moving into is we'll be looking at game week 4. So we need to give our listeners out there a little bit of tips for game week 4 after a very depressing game week 3 for a number of people. People are looking for where to go game week 4 and where the value is and how they can actually go up the league. So, NVD, where do you see the value in game week 4?
I'm actually going to start with what is going to be the first game of game week 4, which is Chelsea against Palace. I think there's value on both sides, to be honest. Palace have definitely started the season stronger. Chelsea inconsistent, terrible, in fact, against West Brom, but managed to claw it back. I guess kind of some of the positives you take out of the Chelsea game and players to look at is, I'd say, Mason Mount. I think he's
scored a great
even against Liverpool. I think he played well. Unlucky not to score. I think he's taken that run of form and that run in the team. And like you said, scored a great goal. He got 12 points in game week 3. So definitely value if you've kept him. I think he's probably gone down. I think it's about 6.9 million now. So potential one to look at. And then from Palace's perspective, definitely Zaha's great form as well. We've mentioned him pretty much kind of most weeks, to be honest. And again, I think he was penalty taker as well. So he's getting points there. And
a question on Zaha. My concern with him is he's got 1 point last game week. He tends to be this player year after year that does brilliantly for a couple of game weeks. Then you get on him and he just doesn't have the consistency. Have we got to be worried about that this season as well?
I think there will come a point in time. I just think that Palace are a stronger team overall this season, and I think that's helping him. And I think that will kind of just draw out that consistency a little bit more. Will it last the whole season? No, probably not. But I think you've got, a few more game weeks where if you haven't got him in your team, it maybe